This is WWE superstar Drew McIntyre, and you're listening to the WWE Podcast.
The champ is
the one that everybody wants, me.
Becky Lynch is going to WrestleMania. Claymore!
Austin 316 says I just whipped your ass.
This is my idol. You're going to acknowledge me.
It is Sunday, August 21st, 2022. It's the Week in Review. It's the biggest show of the week for this podcast, and I'm glad you're here because we've got 2 weeks until Clash at the Castle, and WWE right now is going through a bit of a transformation week by week. We're starting to see the imprints of Triple H's vision for WWE every week, just a little bit, right? Just a little bit here and there. A more centralized focus on wrestling matches, easier to understand storylines, little things here and there from a production standpoint with camera angles and promos that are tweaks, not overhauls, that are adding up to a larger feel that this product has and adding talent back, which creates the actual environment of anything could happen. Rather than telling us, they're showing us anything can happen. And it's becoming a much more fun product to watch. And of course, with those rumors circulating that Raw could go back to 2 hours and that WWE or Triple H is going to be more focused on a professional wrestling approach. Of course, we'll have to see if those things play out long term. But there's encouraging signs to just get back to basics. I know that's not exactly a really exciting motto to have. It's not one that's going to win any prizes, but it's one that is going to work. Professional wrestling doesn't need to be rethought, reworked, reconfigured. It just is what it is, and it is a success because it's a form of entertainment that is easy to understand when it's at its best, with deep characters, easy to understand storylines, and great action. I mean, that's it. And it seems as if, in the short time Triple H has been at the helm, to be something that is taking shape. And it seems as if right now, again, speaking on August 21st, 2022, that Triple H is coming across as kind of a player's manager, if that makes sense. Somebody that actually, no pun intended, but a clever one here, played the game and became a Hall of Famer and then went into management and is now at the top of his career from a professional standpoint outside of the ring. And he, with that said, he seems to be a player's manager, meaning he seems to be, at this moment, more relaxed with what's going on in the company from a promo standpoint. It seems as if I was in the company and I was a wrestler, I'd say, hey, I feel better with Triple H, a guy that actually went through what I'm going through right now, working at the top, rather than a guy that, an old man that is becoming senile and is a geriatric, is at a geriatric state in his life, who has never really been in the ring at this level, So, and again, this is not the Bash Vince McMahon podcast. Vince McMahon, none of us would be here without Vince, number one. And everything outside of the last, couple of months, you can say every memory of wrestling that you have in WWE that is positive and that drew you to listen to this podcast and watch wrestling in general, you can credit Vince McMahon for. Now, he's not solely responsible for it. Of course, you have the actual wrestlers who execute and production and video pack, all that. But my point is that Triple H's influence is being felt more and more every week, and that's a good thing so far. And it's not the final report card by any stretch of the imagination. There is a lot of body of work to go, and we are going to have times that we are really saying, what the hell is Triple H doing? It's going to happen. It's going to happen, But right now we need to just appreciate at least what Triple H is doing and just adding his little flavor of what wrestling is. So, all right, let's talk about this week in WWE as we get into it here. And let me start out with Ronda Rousey getting arrested. Now, if you heard our SmackDown review that Michael and John did last night, I just haven't had my own opinion. So you guys can go listen to them. They broke it down nicely. They have great chemistry. I really encourage you to take a listen to our SmackDown review team. But with Ronda Rousey, now I know they were in Montreal. As Jerry the King Lawler would say, it's bizarro world up in Canada. And they did cheer for a few heels that typically don't. And they were louder than the quote-unquote normal North American crowd outside of the large cities. But this is now becoming a trend that I'm very concerned about. And I think that now WWE is seamlessly transitioning Ronda back to a babyface. And I don't like it. Now, it's not that I don't like the way they're executing her being a babyface. If that's your goal, they're doing a great job. How can you not, at this point, if you're a viewer, look at this and say that they are trying to position Ronda as a babyface? Because she comes out this week, after last week dumping a bag of cash on the table and paying her fine, comes out this week and says that she's choosing violence. As the kids would say, she woke up and chose violence. And how can that not make the crowd happy? I mean, seeing Ronda Rousey beat a bunch of people up sometimes is fun to watch. And then you get the security guards that are just in costume from the local wrestling promotion that they have, whatever the local one is in Montreal. They just kind of gobbled those people up and said, hey, you want to be an extra and get beat up by Ronda Rousey? Put the security shirt on and pretend to be security, right? That's fine. Right? Like, how many times have we seen that throughout the years? And seeing security get beat up is actually a lot of fun. It's an underrated situation in professional wrestling. Seeing the security guards get beat up, no matter who it is just plain fun because they're so useless. They're like the Paul Blarts of security. They're just awful. They can't take a bump. They just get one hit and they're down. They're like a 90s video game. They just get, one hit and you're down, right? They're just fun. And I'm not saying it's bad. It's good. And again, if you want to make and keep Ronda as a babyface, it's a good strategy because seeing Ronda try to get taken down by the man, by the authority, and then have her beat up security and then have the police come down with Adam Pearce, that is a babyface or heel move on Adam Pearce's part, but a babyface move on Ronda's. Because there was actually a moment there where I thought she was going to strike the police officers, and I'm looking at them trying to see how authentic they look. I was looking at them trying to figure out, okay, are these plausible police officers? And when I saw the gun on their hip, I'm like, okay, well, I think this is legit. But there was a moment I thought that Ronda was going to take down the police officers, and then, then obviously she would have been arrested. It would have been a whole thing. I thought there was a moment there, but she didn't. She left and didn't return. But it was a good segment. It was effective. Now Ronda on the microphone with her stupid little side smile that she does as a nervous tick that no one apparently has the balls to tell her is still very annoying. However, she actually spoke pretty well into the microphone this week. She actually had conviction in her voice. That was positive. But overall, again, if you're trying to get her cheered, then you're doing a great job. If you're not, you might want to reevaluate your strategy. They also celebrated the 1200th edition of SmackDown. I guess we're doing this now. Every time you hit 100 mark, are we going to do the 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, and then 2000th episode of SmackDown? Like, are we really doing this? I mean, I don't know. I'm neutral on it, but they didn't celebrate the 1100th, did they? I mean, I understand if you get to 1500, like the 500 markers, I think are celebratory worthy, but not the 100 markers. I'm sorry. It's not. It gets a little bit overdone. Then you see it too much and it's not special anymore. Anyway, so we've got, let's see what else happened here. A women's tag team title tournament with Apparently, the kryptonite for Michael Cole, and you know what that kryptonite is? They're 2 words. Toxic attraction. For some reason, Michael Cole, who kept blaming it on Bayley, which is nonsense. I mean, you can't. But how many times you have fans screaming behind you the entire show, and you're telling me that Bayley is, I mean, of course it was just a cover. For whatever reason, he can't say toxic attraction, and he even said the wrong name. I mean, he called them the wrong name throughout the match. Couldn't say the name. Had Pat McAfee on him about it a couple times, and he kept pointing to Bayley. And then at the end of the match, when they won, he said, and the toxic attraction. Now, it's not a huge deal to add the, but the name of the team is the name of the team. It's not the toxic attraction. It's just toxic attraction. So I know I'm splitting hairs, but when you think about it, those feel like they have 2 different meanings. So he couldn't say the name right, said the wrong name at the end of the match. I mean, Michael Cole right here, he was kind of a mess all night. It was weird. I'm not crapping on Michael Cole. I think he often doesn't get the credit he deserves. I'm not an apologist for him. I'm not, I don't love everything he does. I'm not saying that that's the case or make excuses for when he's bad. Michael Cole's very rarely bad, by the way. I do enjoy his work generally, but he had a bad night. Tongue-tied for some reason, just whatever reason that somebody had a hex on him for those 2 words. Just can't get it out. Let's all say it together, everybody, for Michael. Let's say it phonetically. Toxic attraction. All right. Hopefully said it slow enough. All right. But this tag team title tournament, this wasn't actually supposed to be toxic attraction. It was supposed to be actually supposed to be a different match with Nikita Lyons and Zoe Stark. Those 2 were supposed to, but we had, I guess, injuries. Shawn Michaels announced earlier in the day that this was going to be the case because of an injury. I don't know what the injury is, who it's to, or how extreme it is, but obviously it's Zoe Stark or Nikita Lyons or both that have a serious enough injury to take them out of this huge opportunity to be in the tag team title tournament. So, but this match was good, and I think that it was fine. It didn't hurt anyone in this match. It made sense 100% for the newcomers, at least newcomers to the main roster, come up and win this matchup, as we have the kind of old guard of Sonya Deville and Natalya in the background here, and WWE trying to showcase the younger talent, especially from NXT, and having Toxic Attraction come up and fill the spot for Nikita Lyons and Zoe Stark. I 100% agree with, and I do believe that team, even if it wasn't Toxic Attraction, would have beaten Natalya and Sonya Deville. So the match was good. I mean, it was a lot of Bayley screaming at ringside too, with Io Sky and Dakota Kai. So there was that yelling at ringside. So that pretty much was it. I mean, it was a decent match, and now we go to round 2 of the tournament, or the semifinals, which is really round 2. So Sami Zayn also had an interesting night. Sami Zayn, who has been trying to be a part of the cool crowd in the Bloodline for quite some time, finally gets to talk to Roman one-on-one as Roman invited him in. And it went better than expected, at least from my point of view, at least specifically for Sami, because I kept waiting for the hammer to drop on him, and it didn't. The Usos weren't there due to quote-unquote travel issues at the border. Maybe Jay, or is it Jay? No, Jimmy, who keeps getting DWIs. Maybe they caught him at the border. Of course, I'm making a really dark joke. So they weren't there. Paul Heyman's not there. It's just Roman. And I think this may be the first time since he joined Heyman that those 3 individuals are not there along with Roman, or at least one of them are. So this is the first time I can think Roman Reigns is alone in a long time, and it felt fresh. It felt good. I don't hate the bloodline. I think it's one of the better storylines that WWE's had in several years, but it felt refreshing to not have Roman be able to lean on the wise man or the Usos. So, but Sami Zayn, however, is warming up to Roman, and I kept thinking Roman was going to take that smile and just turn it into a scowl, and he didn't. And Sami Zayn was talking to Roman Reigns about his fatal 5-way for the Intercontinental Championship, #1 contendership. And, we had Roman say that the Intercontinental belt would look great along, your shoulders in the bloodline and all this. And Sammy's beside himself and basically thinking that he's finally in with the big man, but we'll see. So, what else happened? We got let's get to it here. The fatal 5-way for the #1 contender for the Intercontinental Championship. So, I'm not a fan. Well, I'll get to Hit Row in a minute, but let's talk about the good stuff here. We had Madcap Moss, Sheamus, Ricochet, Sami Zayn, and Baron Corbin. And Happy Corbin. Corbin got some good heat. I mean, there were some near falls there that were extremely convincing. And we had Corbin get the heat for it, and people were legitimately angry at him. And he's just an absolutely naturally born heel. So, Sami Zayn, obviously being from Montreal, you knew was going to get the hometown hero's welcome, and he did, and that's fine. That's fine. Now, I didn't expect Montreal to boo one of their own. I would have liked if Kevin Owens showed up somehow, and he didn't. But earlier we had Roman tell Sammy, "Hey, go tell your boy that I don't owe anyone anything." So there's something going on there. Interesting to see where Sammy's loyalties are going to lie when the chips are down. I think they may be starting something here with Sami Zayn, who is best friends with Kevin Owens. Now, they've had their differences in the past, and I guess they just chalk that up to whatever. But now that he's trying to get in with the bloodline, what is Sammy going to do when the chips are down if he's also trying to play the other side of the coin and be buddy-buddy with KO? So I think his loyalties may be stretched or contrasted a bit as we move forward. We'll see. But Sami Zayn gets injured, and I say that in a pro wrestling sense, has to leave the match halfway through. And this match went on for like a half an hour, but it was really good. Okay, really good. Ricochet had some standout moments. He hit his Billy Kidman shooting star press. We had Sheamus get a near fall. We had Baron Corbin, who just kept spoiling the moment. Madcap Moss, of course, continues to get that exposure, that semi-main event exposure, and that's good, but I'd still like him to eventually talk and get a character. That'd be good. So, yeah, this was good, and we had Sheamus get the victory. Yes, Sheamus. So Sheamus wins, and I outside of the bruised and cut leg that he had, but boy, that looked brutal. I think that Sheamus performed well, and they could maybe be turning him into a babyface. They have to do something because Gunther is not turning babyface. Sheamus has done it. No one really cares too much about his character enough to feel that they would be slighted by investing all this time in his character only to have him turn babyface. There's really nobody out there that's like that. So I think that this is going to be good for his career, and this could be the end of, possibly, the end of Fight Night or the Brawling Brutes, maybe, because we haven't seen them in quite some time. And maybe Triple H just quietly disbanded them and thought that was a stupid idea by Vince. So that's possible. And Sheamus right now is kind of also back to basics, but we don't know what version of him we're going to get. However, Gunther versus Sheamus in a one-on-one matchup in Wales, I mean, it kind of favors Sheamus, does it not? In terms of crowd reaction, I think Gunther will retain, but I don't know. But the match was really good. We also had Zayn at one point get a really, really convincing near fall with hitting the haluva kick or the hell of a kick on Ricochet and then going for the cover and only to have Baron Corbin steal that moment. And I actually was sold into that moment, hook, line, and sinker. That got me. So what else happened? Well, by the way, really good, 30-minute matchup. No complaints here. Eats up a lot of time. You have 5 great wrestlers, and it's in front of a hot crowd. No problem here. So let's see here. Liv Morgan versus Shotzi. And the Viking funeral. The Viking funeral, I think it was interesting. It took their characters to a different level. It's darkened their characters instead of just these kind of generic, big men that look like they just want to play dress up as Vikings, and actually try to make them authentically Vikings. And I appreciate the effort there. Even if it doesn't end up working, at least, they've tried. They're trying to truly make us believe in a pro wrestling sense that these two guys are actually Vikings. So we'll have to see if that actually continues to play out. But at least the video package for the Viking Raiders, I thought was very effective. I thought it did what it needed to do to make us take them more seriously. And the funeral that they had for the New Day was fun. Now, do I think this is leading to a Big E return? Probably at some point. Kofi and Xavier not on SmackDown made me very happy. But, yeah. Oh, Karrion Kross then had a nice little sit-down interview. And it was more of a promo. But the quote of this, and this is, again, not just from the video, but also WWE itself tweeted this quote out from the video, basically telling us what's the most important point of this whole thing. And that is, they chose you and they were wrong. So, sending that message to Drew McIntyre primarily, but secondarily, sending that message to Roman Reigns. So, Karrion Kross, he continues to shine. I have no issues with the way that they've portrayed him. It is real. It's just easy to understand. Well, I shouldn't say it's easy to understand. He's compelling. He's got a lot of charisma oozing through the screen, and it's something that on the main roster, especially on the main roster when he came up and Vince just screwed him up completely, that you're seeing something in him that is compelling and it just grabs you. And I love this right now. So, all right, what else happened in this match? I already told you about Liv Morgan versus Shotzi. So we get Liv Morgan and Shotzi, and I was listening very closely to Liv Morgan's reaction, and I thought it was very generally positive. Unless the sound was being manipulated, it sounded genuinely positive for Liv. And that's a good thing, because I want to see Liv play out the babyface as much as she can. So I think that this matchup with Shotzi and Liv Morgan was fine. And it was really just to get over Liv, because I think WWE is hearing loud and clear that the problem with Liv is that people don't respect her as a champion, that her credibility is shot because of how she won it and how she defended that championship. So there's that, hanging over her head. So getting this victory with a really sloppy Oblivion, by the way. But, the rest of the match was fine. But outside of that, the purpose of this was to try to give credit, give respect, add some type of authenticity to Liv as champion. I think that's the purpose of this matchup. We also had immediately after Shayna Baszler attacking Liv Morgan, threatening to break her arm. The announcers harping back on when Rousey said to Shayna off air a couple weeks ago, "Whatever happened to you? You used to be a monster. You used to be a killer." said off air, very effective, and I think that they are going to follow that narrative, that the announcers are, and maybe even the wrestlers themselves follow this, and that I used to be a killer. What the hell happened to me? And it's true. It is true. That's exactly what people are wondering. What the hell happened to the real Shayna Baszler? The Shayna Baszler that took out 5 other women in the Elimination Chamber a couple of years ago? That same Shayna Baszler? Yeah. So let's see here. Again, Oblivion was not perfect exactly. Shayna didn't actually snap the arm of Liv. She threatened to, but said she'll do it at Clash at the Castle. So, yeah. Alrighty. Let's see what else. The Reigns and McIntyre face-to-face. I didn't have a problem with this. Roman's entrance lasts more than a lot of segments that are actually wrestling matches on the show. Roman Reigns' entrance is just so long, but the crowd ate it up. I mean, the Montreal crowd was really into Roman here, and they even started chanting for Roman and had a hard time cheering for Drew. They weren't booing Drew, but they understand what kind of star Roman is right now. The kind of historic run he's on as champion right now. So I think that the fans in the arena knew what they had. And especially the fact that Roman doesn't show up that often at all either. So there is that. But this match, or this segment was fine. And it ended in a brawl, but that's okay. And having Drew Haluva kick Sami Zayn, who takes yet another bullet for the bloodline, and then having Reigns get I think it looked kind of sloppy, but it could be the camera angle. Regardless, Roman also, as he goes for a spear, gets the Claymore, and then we have Drew holding up the 2 championship belts above his head to end the show. So I think this was effective. We needed a little bit of one-on-one time. How long have we waited for this one-on-one with Roman and Drew? At least at this level. It's been a long time. And again, we're going to have to see if Drew ends up taking one or both or none of those belts at Clash at the Castle. But there's a big thing coming. I really do believe that with Triple H now in charge, and that's to me the deciding factor, that we are going to see a title change or titles change at Clash at the Castle. I think that is probably what we're looking at. I'd favor that. Now, if Vince were still in charge, the answer to this would be an easy no. But this is where Triple H might differ in his plan, in his vision for Roman as champion and Drew maybe taking the helm here. We'll see. We have, of course, a couple of weeks to talk about it, and we'll have an official preview and prediction show prior to the event. So let's see here. What else do I want to talk about? I feel like there's like little segments that I don't address that I probably should. I'm looking at Hit Row. That's the one thing I didn't talk about. Hit Row. Now, last week I came out on here and I said that Hit Row is good on the mic, at least in terms of energy, and they're good in the ring, but they sound so rehearsed and rigid. Well, that wasn't the problem this week. The problem this week was we got a very poorly sung, nobody asked for concert. And maybe it's because I'm not a big fan of that kind of music anyway, that it doesn't help things. But I also don't think it sounded good. I don't think it had a good beat. I don't think it had and it didn't catch on. It was just like people actually at the end of it booed. If you listen, Montreal was like, screw this. Boo. Yep. We all heard it. I heard it. You guys had to have heard it. It was bad. There's just no other way to put it. It was bad. We had Top Dollar and Shotzi the Adonis, okay, and they were all singing, and it was just, I don't even know what they were singing about. It didn't really matter too much. It was just a concert. It was the entertainment-y part of things, and I have I like Hit Row as the name of the group is badass. The Hit Row, like Hit Row. How cool is that name? That's great. But also, the look of them is great. I love their look. They seem legitimate, but then they bring in this. It's like once they open their mouths, it's like, oh, they ruin it for me. And it's because last week and before they got fired, I felt like they felt very rehearsed and very produced. Now they come out and they just put on a makeshift concert no one asked for, and it was bad as well. So, again, this is one man's opinion. One. You guys may love them, and that's great. I have nothing against them in terms of in-ring. I think they have a bright future. I think they are there truly to replace the Street Profits. I know that the Street Profits haven't officially broken up yet, but I think that is in the works, and they need a team to replace the Street Profits, who I know are on Raw, but that doesn't really matter, at least right now. What else here? Let's talk a little bit about Monday Night Raw, and let's go into it here. So, Damian Priest challenges Edge to a match, which, by the way, they hyped up next week, or at least in 2 days. Tomorrow, Monday Night Raw in Toronto. Edge versus Damian Priest, the Punisher of the the Judgment Day. However, the Judgment Day also beat down Rey Mysterio. So now, this is something I've kind of grinded into a fine powder almost too much. I will say, just in short, keep an eye out for Dominic Mysterio. I still believe this whole thing is to have Dom turn. That's the whole purpose for this, I believe. But maybe we still get, the second best. Like, okay, Edge is still heel or something. But, okay, Damian Priest, as I said, challenged Edge. Asuka and Alexa Bliss defeat Doudrop and Nikki ASH via a submission. They advance in the women's tag team title tournament. The Miz and Ciampa defeat Ali and Alexander when Ciampa hit Ali with a fairy tale ending. So Ciampa continues to roll. And if you're, again, the golden rule is if you're new, you go on a hot streak. I mean, that's just, I've never seen anyone. Can somebody name a debut where that person comes in and they just lose and lose and lose and lose? I can't. I mean, outside of hilariously Brock Lesnar. Right? Like, how many times did he lose? Outside of winning that fatal 5-way to become WWE champion just so that he could give it to Roman at the main event of WrestleMania, give me an example. I'd love to hear it. Okay. Riddle attacked Rollins and challenged him to a match at Clash at the Castle. Rollins was in the ring, and he was waiting for Riddle's health update, but Rollins believed Riddle was at home. He wasn't. He said he was medically cleared. He ran to the ring. They brawled, and then we had Seth Rollins scurry up the stairs out of harm's way, and so this is fine. And I think it might leading to Randy Orton coming back. I would imagine that's probably where they're headed. And having Riddle get a piece of Rollins is fun. Veer Mahan, our boy, he's back, defeating, my God, how did he do it? Bo Keller via submission. And he beat him with none other than the cervical clutch. Boy, that just doesn't sound pleasant. Whoever named that move wasn't thinking of the female anatomy. Did not exactly cross this person's mind when they named that particular finish. The United States Championship with Lashley versus AJ Styles was a lot of fun, just as Ciampa and Lashley was the prior week. And we had Dexter Lumis jump the guardrail, but we had security tackle him. It was it's fun to watch Dexter Lumis kind of make his comeback here, and they do it in a way that makes him look like a fan that's not supposed to be here. But also the match itself between AJ and Bobby Lashley was really good. And I can't hammer this hard home enough. The reinvigoration, the refocus of the Intercontinental and the United States Championship has been a massive breath of fresh air. It's added something so desperately to both of those belts where, like before, like just a month ago, you're looking at them going, well, it's a U.S. belt, blah, blah, blah. Like, it's just another U.S. title match. Now you look at it and go, this is cool. Like, you instantly feel more like that belt means something. And I hope they continue with it over the next several weeks. Maybe a video package here and there still coming, but also talk to the wrestlers themselves. What does it mean to them for being champion or to be champion or wanting to be champion? So, all right, let's see here. We got Bobby Lashley beating AJ for the United States Championship. But then Theory makes a comeback after seemingly, a week or two? It seemed like a long time, but he's back. And he took on Dolph Ziggler after hitting A-Town down. I'm doing the hand gesture. You guys can't see. Whatever the hell that means. And earlier in the night, Theory and Ziggler brawled backstage because Ziggler interrupted a Theory interview about his Money in the Bank contract. So Ziggler is the one who is, at least in this particular instance, being the aggressor. But if we're all supposed to just forget, it was Theory, or rather Ziggler, who started this whole thing to begin with anyway, and Theory's just following suit. So there is that. But let's see what else happened. That might do it for right now. I expect a very big show tomorrow night in Toronto, and they're going to make it very obvious of where they're from. Edge will get a massive babyface reaction, and it also creates an opportunity for the hometown heroes to get beat down in their hometown. Just because Edge is there doesn't mean he's going to win. In fact, au contraire, I think it could be the opposite. How many times have we seen people get beat up in their hometowns because it generates the most heat? So I think that could be in store for Edge at Monday Night Raw tomorrow night, or tonight, whenever you're listening to this. So let me see what else happened, guys. I don't know. I know that there's little things here and there. Obviously, the promo with KO and Drew McIntyre was something that we didn't know we needed, and now we know we do. At some point, these two will collide, and it'll be for a championship, or maybe just headlining the pay-per-view because there's a personal feud. That could still happen. So overall, I thought it was a good week of wrestling. I think that WWE, as I said at the open, continues to show you right now, in the small sample size that Triple H has been at the head of creative and talent, I think that you are starting to see him put his money where his mouth is, in a small way, but a smart way, strategic way. This is not something he's jumping into. He's taking his time. He's making his mark where he can, and he feels it's safe, but he's not just jumping right into the deep end right away. And that's a smart thing for him. So, all right, everybody. Well, I don't know if that does it, but don't forget, if you didn't know, I have a Patreon that you can get yourself onto, and you can get yourself signed up. And why is that important? Well, number one, it's only $1 a month. Okay. So if you want to get on to the $1 a month train and you don't want to spend a bunch of money to go ad free, that is the way to do it. We also offer shout outs on this show when you become a patron, and patreon.com/WWE podcast. So 2 new pledges here. We've got, and I apologize if I've already given you guys credit and you're like, hey, you shouted me out. Well, I forgot. Okay. Jeff and Screws Tonic. So Jeff Hay and Screws Tonic, welcome to the family. I hope you guys enjoy your ad-free experience. There's certainly a lot of stuff for you guys to listen through if you don't want ads. It's a great place to go and get a Discord server. So I'd highly recommend it. That pretty much does it for my week in review, everyone. We have another show coming to you tomorrow. Now, last week, Anthony and I couldn't make our schedules work, so I put out an old show. This week, I hope it can, because we've got a lot to talk about with Clash at the Castle just 2 weeks away. So tomorrow I'll be back with Anthony, hopefully, with a WWE current state of the product show. And then Tuesday is the Monday Night Raw review. Wednesday is the mailbag. So that pretty much covers it, everybody. Thank you so much for listening. Take care, and I will talk to you next time.
Thanks for listening to the WWE Podcast. Don't forget to subscribe on your favorite podcast app so you don't miss a show, or head to WWEpodcast.com. And for all of these shows ad-free, head over to patreon.com/WWE Podcast. Until then, we'll see you next time.